Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Self-Aware Millennial. I am your host, J.Mix, and today we are celebrating 100 episodes. By the way, if you are watching on YouTube or anywhere with visuals, my friend Free, who has been my friend for a very long time since high school, the first guest of the Self-Aware Millennial back in 2020, before the pandemic, before everything just kind of turned upside down. Free has been there and is back after 5 years, and I'm so happy that you are here.
Oh my God, 5 years. When you say it out loud, it's like, what? 5? It's been that long?
Like, you be blinking. Like, I don't know. I feel like the older we get, the faster life just seems to go. It, like, again, yeah, it doesn't feel like 5 years, but it has been that long because I remember when I started this, and I remember where I was mentally. And so I invited Free for this episode, mostly because it is an homage to our first episode, but also within the next episode that we're chatting about, we're going to be talking about more of the themes of what we talked about in episode 1. But for this episode, I thought about it even this morning, and I was going to film all this by myself, and I actually did it already. I had filmed episode 100 by myself, and I just wasn't feeling it. I tried to do it last week, and I was just like, this is just not it. I'm at a point in my life right now where I do need a little bit of hand holding. I'm just going to say it. I feel like I need support. And being a host of a podcast by yourself, I know so many podcasts that have co-hosts and, just extra people to just kind of keep the banter going. But I think right now I need that. Not saying that I need a co-host. I would love a co-host at some point, I think. But right now, like, I just need at least someone else. And trying to do an episode on the 100th episode by yourself is a lot. Doing episode on your own is a lot. So I have Free here because Free has been on this journey, even though she hasn't been here since 2020.
Right.
She has been on this journey, and she has seen how it has transcended since I started back in 2020. And so I felt like who is more appropriate to kind of reflect on it with me. And thank you for being here to do that.
No, thank you for inviting me back. Oh my God, I love the podcast. First of all, Self-Aware Millennial. What more could you say about that? Everybody, especially in times like these, self-awareness, we need that. So for you to bring it to the masses, thank you.
You're welcome. I know the first conversation that we had was, I believe I asked you if you were a self-aware person, and you told me that you were self-aware to know that you didn't know everything. That's what you said. And it really stuck with me, and it still sticks with me to this day. And I still feel that way as well. But I think now, I feel like my self-awareness evolves, because what I thought was self-awareness back in 2020 versus now, I think it's a little different. Just in the ways of, like, when I was thinking about self-awareness back then, it was like, oh, I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about, like, what I need in the moment. I'm thinking presently, really. Knowing who I am, my boundaries, knowing what I like, what I don't like. Self-awareness now for me is also giving myself grace. I think self-awareness is also, like, being able to admit your mistakes. I think it has more to do with, like, when you realize you did something wrong, like, taking accountability for it. So I feel like that's not where my head was back then. I think I was still learning how to be wrong, and be wrong in not in a righteous way, but just in a way. I know it sounds so contradictory.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so this episode, we're really just going to be reflecting on the last 5 years of this podcast and where it has gone, where I think it's going after we hit the hundreds, and how I feel as though it'll be sustainable, how I can sustain it, considering that, like, I feel like my life has been changing, And that's inevitable. And the podcast has to kind of change with that. And it's not going to be the same podcast as it was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, because my life is always going to be different. It's always going to be changing. So I think Free is going to kind of act as the representative for the rest of y'all, the listeners, and people who are viewing, who have been following this podcast for a while and may have questions and, maybe curiosities about like how I've kept it going despite certain obstacles and things that have happened in my life throughout the duration of the podcast. Like I'm thinking right now, the one thing I think about is like when I quit World War II Museum, like that was a big one. And like I remember talking about that and like that being a big deal. I mean, all the pandemic times, I brought on a lot of like my roller skate friends at that time. But that was all in like 2020. I feel like 2021, we still had podcast episodes in those other years, but it started to dwindle down because life was becoming back to like post pandemic times, and I had less time to focus on the podcast. So what has been some like topics that we have covered on the podcast that have struck you or that have maybe that you found memorable over the last 5 years?
Ooh,
Even if like, it doesn't have to be like a topic that maybe it could be a topic, it could be like a guest that I brought on, it could be anything. I'm just curious because like it's hard. I'm asking this because as the host and as someone that basically like just kind of does it and I receive the information, I don't always fully get a chance to hear the opinions of others. And if I do, it's kind of in random conversation and it's never in a full depth like analysis, which is fine. Like I'm not looking for that, but I think for me, and I've always mentioned this on the podcast, I like reassurance, and I'm like my love language is words of affirmation. So that's how I receive, and yeah, I'm just curious. Sorry, that was a really long question.
No, you're perfectly fine. You've touched on a lot of topics over the years. One that stood out to me because that was one of the episodes that I really learned something. One of the topics, I know it was LGBTQ plus related,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the topic went on to polyamorous relationships. I forget what episode that is, but it was a while back. It was you and maybe one or two other guests.
It might have been the
show.
one that I did with Andre, Susanna, and Andre. I think maybe. I think so.
Maybe.
I think that might have been it. Oh God,
But
it may not be their names. I apologize if I said y'all names wrong, but I know the girl's name was Susanna. Anyway.
Hey, at least you got names. I can't remember right. I'm surprised I remember anything half the time. But that one stood out to me because I actually learned something. So I was not familiar with polyamory other than, okay, this one, there's the main relationship, then you got the girlfriend of this one and the boyfriend of that one, and it's like a whole conversation that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, what is this? But when I listened to the podcast and you broke it down and you really explained the whole nuances and the dynamics of the relationship and how consent and honesty is a big part of that, to where this is not just a, excuse my language, cluster F. It makes sense. Oh, I can?
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
Oh wait,
Okay.
I guess that wasn't a thing when we started this
Yeah,
episode,
it
this
was
podcast.
not.
No, you can now.
It's not. Oh yes, we've evolved.
Yes,
forgot.
we have evolved.
Yeah, so it's kind of
I'll
like,
bleep it out.
As somebody who is not familiar with that, because that's not my reality. So you come into it, I'm not gonna lie, with an ignorant lens.
Yeah.
Because you have a preconceived notion of what you think a polyamorous relationship is in the confines of a monogamous relationship. And within a monogamous relationship, it's kind of like, okay, it's just me and my person. There's a level of possessiveness there. And I don't want anybody to impede on that. Versus what I learned from it, I was like, okay, it still has some of the, I guess, rules, if you will, of a monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like you get different things from each person within it. if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your normal relationship, say with friends. Like, say, okay, I have this friend over here that I can do X, Y, and Z with, but I can't necessarily do that with this friend over here. I have to do A, B, and C. So instead of feeling like, okay, I have to sacrifice myself and just compromise and do, nah, I can do A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z, 1, 2, 3, and everybody cool as long as there is an open line of communication. It's when you start lying and being shady that it's like, okay, that's nah. I learned a lot that episode. I was like, thank you for that.
You are so welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I really enjoyed all of the non-monogamy themed episodes. I feel like those were the ones, especially at that time, because I was like deep into non-monogamy at that point. I felt like I was already really understanding of the whole not practice, but just the whole lifestyle, that I was like, well, let me give this to the people that don't know. Especially, I mean, I'm not saying everybody that listens to this podcast is, well, I would say majority of them are monogamous, but we do have people, at least majority of us, even monogamy, or people that practice monogamy, they're open to understanding other relationship styles. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, I guess I want to quickly talk about that while we're on the subject matter. Just
why not? That's how we is.
Yeah, non-monogamy. So not that it's anyone's business, but I guess, or any of y'all business, but like I've already been telling my business about my oh my gosh,
I'm an anomaly. Like
my non-monogamous experiences, and I will say, just what I've experienced over the last couple of years, I don't regret anything. I really don't. I don't regret my experiences. They don't happen at all nearly as often. I will say, since I moved in with my current boyfriend, he's been my boyfriend the whole time. He's been the same one. It's just been a different dynamic, and I don't think we've had time to really talk about what that's going to look like now that we live together. We haven't gotten to that point just yet. And I don't know if I don't feel like I need another person, but if somebody does come along and, I'm curious about them, sure, but majority of the time I realize, like, cause I've had little moments like that over the last couple of years, but I realize that, like, it's just my body wanting to be physically intimate with this person, or like I have like a crush on this person that maybe now that I'm 30, in my 30s, my discernment on things, like, it's like, okay, but do you really want to pursue this person? Because then I think about, like, oh, this person has these things going on with them, and I was like, I don't want to put myself in that, and I don't want that kind of energy. So like, it's one of those things where it's like, this person is not great for you, but you still want them around because you're attracted to them. So you learn to just, because for me, I just wait for the crush to go away, and then it's gone, and I'm like, whew, thank goodness I didn't do anything.
that's that self-awareness kicking in.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
do I want this?
Yeah, but as of right now, y'all, I still consider myself non-monogamous, but I'm not openly practicing. Like, I'm a monogamous, non-monogamous. But some other stuff that we have chatted about. Because I did the one with what's his name? Andre. I think his name was Andre. Andre and Susanna. And then I did the one with Dylan, non-monogamy for dummies. And then we've also had conversations with non-monogamy for dummies.
That should be a book.
It is. I wonder if it is now. I wouldn't
be surprised. There's a blah 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 for dummies of everything.
Yeah. I'll have to look that up. I will also say thank you, by the way. Wow, I should have said this at the beginning. The sustainability of this podcast could not have happened if it was not for all the guests, including Free, that happened.
You did this.
Yes, thank y'all. All the guests that have been on so far. Thank you for taking the time to have conversations with me and other people. Some of them, I'll have like 2 guests at one time that don't know each other and that are just kind of meeting for the first time and having conversations then. So like, thank you for just like jumping in and being open enough to share that, not just with me, but with strangers that are listening and that are watching. And I also want to thank my Patreon community, because if it wasn't for y'all, the podcast, I could not even afford to keep the podcast on the streaming services. So I just want to thank y'all for that before we keep going, just because that is something I should have said at the beginning. So I want to talk next about, this is for my podcasters, by the way, people that have podcasts at the current moment or who are thinking of doing podcasts and aren't sure where to start or just need some wisdom from someone who is now at 100 episodes. The things that you will probably, if you haven't already, have to go through to just even get your podcast up and going. I will say every podcast is different. I've been listening to podcasts forever, and everyone has their own take. Everybody has their own opinions, and everyone does it the way that they want. Some of them have 2-hour episodes, 3-hour episodes, 20-minute episodes. It's whatever you want. The world is your oyster. But in terms of how I felt like I was able to sustain my podcast, it was honestly just through knowing that consistency really only worked on my end at the beginning when it was during the pandemic and not really having much else to focus on. I was really able to get my podcast off the ground because of that. The second thing is knowing when to take a break. I felt as though, because I felt like when I started the podcast, things were just going really fast. And because of my consistency, it was doing really well. And I was able to keep up with it for a bit. But then once life and everything just started opening back up, started needing to get a job and all this other stuff that comes back with having your regular life. The pandemic was, at least on my end, a dream because I was able to just create, get paid by the government because I qualified and was getting like $600 a week. And so I just kind of sat at home most days because I couldn't go anywhere really except roller skating, which was also another therapeutic thing to do. And as a creative, like it was a dream come true because like you're skating, you're listening to music, and you're meeting people. It's like you feel like you're in a playground with other preschoolers, and it's like it really feels like you are a child again. And to kind of get that experience and that privilege to be able to experience it as an adult, it feels surreal because it's like, oh, okay, so this is how life used to be like for me as an adult that used to be a child. Like you almost feel that way again. And when you're in not necessarily like a childlike mindset, but you're in a space where all you are required to do is play and create, like it is encouraged because you have nothing else to do. When you're there, like it sparks other things. And like people were making banana bread, and like what was the other things people were doing during the pandemic?
They were doing so much. So from what I remember for the pandemic, people started cooking more, and they would upload like cooking videos, drawing, knitting, you name it. You can think about one person was on a damn, what is that thing, a unicycle? There was somebody on a unicycle, like just doing crazy shit on a unicycle. I'm like, I wish I could spend my time like that. I did not.
Yeah, people were planting, like growing stuff.
I did not take advantage of the pandemic like I should have.
That's okay. Look,
no, it's not.
But what I'm saying is that, like, I mean, God forbid another pandemic comes. And
I'm just saying that we don't want it. But
yeah.
if you do, I'm out. I'm not coming back to work. I'm sorry. Whatever y'all want to give me next time, I'm taking it. I learned my lesson, okay?
Yeah.
I'm taking it next time. I'm staying home.
Is this conversation speaking to you right now? Do you feel the self-awareness taking over your body like it does when you hear your favorite song? I want you to make a mental note of this moment and share the Self-Aware Millennial podcast with someone you love, because sharing is caring and love is not possessive. Y'all know how good it feels when someone shares with you, whether it's resources, food, wisdom, money, or partners. Okay, well, some of us. Spread the love. Decapitalize your mind and practice the gift of sharing. And while you're at it, keep that same energy and rate us on your podcast streaming service platform of choice, okay? If you're feeling extra giving, leave a review. Come on, you know you want to. Enjoy the rest of the show.
man. Yeah. So where was I? I was going way off topic, but I was talking about being a podcaster and getting to 100 episodes. I was talking about so not many of us are going to be able to start a podcast in the pandemic at this point, but what you can do, because yes, most of us who are starting one, unless you're, I don't know, a high schooler or something, are much younger and you still have a structured outline of your life where you go to school, you go to your after school activities, and then repeat. The rest of us, right?
Why'd you say that?
What?
Why'd you say high school when you starting? The only reason why I'm saying that is because you remember no bitch assness. We were podcasting before podcasting was a word at lunch.
Yep.
And we would literally just sit up there. You would record our conversation, singing, dancing, all that stuff. And I can only imagine, like, had we known what podcasting was going to be, like, years later, what we would have did. Now, at the same time, I'm like, okay, after we graduated high school, we all went our separate ways. I don't know how that would have worked. But I'm starting to notice now, people get on Zoom. We had Skype.
Yep. We were on Skype talking. Skype, Uvu, but Uvu.
Oh, yeah, I remember Uvu.
Uvu.
It was
whatever.
Uvu. Yeah, Uvu,
Yeah.
Skype. And I'm like,
that was so much fun. Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, like, I'll say their name. Dominican stifled our creativity with
I'm
that.
so happy we're saying their name now, because we did not say their name in episode 1.
We didn't?
We didn't. We were trying to be like, yeah, we went to a private Catholic
I don't
girls'
care about
high
y'all now.
school,
Y'all
da
not
da
getting my
da.
money.
Yeah.
Y'all keep sending me emails. I'm not responding to them.
You get emails from them still?
Yeah, because they're asking me for money. I'm not paying it.
That's
Like,
interesting. I must have either unsubscribed or something, because
No,
they don't
I-
send me nothing.
I still get the emails, but they go to my Yahoo. I don't even check that. So, yeah, y'all still sending me emails, and yeah, I'm still ignoring them. You could just take me off at this point, you know.
We need to talk about them for a
Like,
second.
shout out to them for
The education
the education.
was great.
And I got my lifelong friends here. Ooh,
Yeah.
But y'all pissed me off after I graduated college, after we begged y'all for that, what was it, 10-point grading scale?
Oh, I forgot about
and they
that.
kept telling us, like, oh, no, that separates us from everybody else. And then you get it. You know what my GPA could have been? Y'all messed up my tops. I'm just telling y'all that right now.
I
But
forgot about that. I
Yeah.
really did. I totally forgot about that. I don't think I was one of, I mean, yeah, I don't remember the fullness of that.
Oh, I remember it all. But y'all had me with Crispitos, though. I hope y'all still got those.
I'm sure they do. They have to. That's what I feel like, that if they don't have anything else that outside of Rally Day and the other stuff that they had over there, I feel like Crispitos probably never went away.
It's like I'm proud of them
hope.
for the the STEM program. The building is nice.
Yeah.
When we tried, when we literally tried to get better for the black and brown students, kind of trampled over that. But I guess the little W's that we did get cool. I'm still sore about that.
Are you talking about the thing that happened with the 8th grader and her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the senior and the father with the
It was the student body president and the
and the
dad,
dad,
at the father-daughter dance.
Kaepernick,
and
Trump.
that foolishness. And then next after that, little kids getting called the N-word.
Yeah.
Yeah. that was
Yeah,
cool.
I feel like, oh man,
Yeah, I'm not
I
letting
want
that go.
no, I
thought
want to talk. I actually do want to talk. That didn't happen during the pandemic. That happened before the pandemic.
Yeah, it happened before. Like,
but
all
we
of
didn't
that-
talk about it in that episode. I'm surprised we didn't talk about that.
You know what? I think because things were still fresh,
Oh,
and I think from the aftermath of the Black alumna group and them trying to, I guess, figure out where they were gonna move and all of this other stuff, and we were still sore about it. I'm gonna be honest. I was still sore about it. So it was kind
I
of
am
like
too.
Voldemort with us for a little minute.
not
like,
Voldemort.
You talk about it, but you don't say the name.
Yeah,
Just so that the wound didn't get reopened, because at that point it was bad.
it really was. No, I think okay. So I'm sorry, y'all. I know we're supposed to be talking about podcasting and all of that, but like this is actually this is something we need to talk about. So if you want, I will. Yeah. Don't mind us. We need to talk about this right quick. And anybody that is from Dominican or whatever, feel free to chime in comments, wherever. I don't care. Feel free. But no, I want to mention something about that, because I remember when that all went down. I think I may have even mentioned it to you at one point. But I feel like now that it's at least 5 years removed, it must have been much longer at this point.
Yeah,
but
it's longer.
I do know that um, when it happened, my mother at that point was still doing costuming for Dominicans high school plays. Um, the directors for the Dominican plays, I will not name them, but anyone who knows them. Um, Usually, like they love my mom. She started doing stuff when I was doing plays there, and she kind of continued after I graduated, and she was there up until that point because because they let her go. Like my mom was only contracted through them to do costumes and stuff or whatever, but I think came that spring they made an excuse as to why she couldn't come back without fully saying that was because of me being involved with basically trying to get justice for the black students at Dominican for what had happened between the senior president at the time and her father at that father-daughter dance. I'm sorry, everybody. We should also kind of talk about what happened. So what happened was there's a father-daughter dance that normally happens at Dominican. Still happens, I'm pretty sure. But this particular time, um, it's like they dress in themes, like the fathers and daughters dress. They usually theme it up when they come together, and then they do the dance or whatever. The music's playing or blah blah blah. But also there's like chaperones there that are supposed to kind of approve of what these fathers and daughters are wearing before they go in. Somehow it slipped through the cracks that there was a father and a daughter that came as Trump and Kaepernick, and at that time there was a lot of controversy over Kaepernick's kneeling and I think Trump was obviously still big back then, talking about like, well, I think he wasn't president, was he? He wasn't president yet.
No, not yet.
He had okay.
yet.
I can't even remember. Like I can't remember.
I think he was. I think he was running,
Okay.
or had like just thrown his hat into the ring to campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him being very vocal about it. So
Okay.
he was kind of at the forefront of like anti-kneeling, subtle, silent protest during sporting events.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Claiming that you're reprimanding your American rights or freedom or blah, I don't know, something along those lines, where it's like you're not a true American if you're kneeling or doing anything outside of putting your hand on your heart.
correct.
And I feel like even at that point that kind of sparked the movement where other people who were kind of on Kaepernick's side of things were either not, obviously they probably weren't kneeling, but maybe they weren't standing up and putting their hand over their heart at the beginning of the school day, or doing, they weren't doing the things that were just being told that they had to do. So in this instance, there was a photo that got leaked from Snapchat with the father and the daughter. The daughter was kneeling. The father was like Trump. Daughter was Kaepernick. And father, from the picture I remember seeing, got on the news and everything. Like pointing at the daughter. And I forget what the caption said. I think it may have said like "you're fired" or something.
I think it was
Something like that. It was very tongue in cheek, but I guess it was also like a picture that they thought would never get out. Like these people pay a lot of money to go to school to be smart and not be that smart at the same time. But it is what it is. So that happened. Outrage, all hell broke loose. Myself, Free, Caitlin as well.
Shout out to Caitlin.
Shout out to Caitlin. And a bunch of us, not just us, but
Yeah,
like there was a
it's
whole
not just
bunch
us.
of us that came and was just like, like what's going on? Like, why haven't y'all done anything? And I remember we were trying to have a conversation with the dean of the school at the time, or was it the president? I don't remember.
We were trying to talk to whoever we would, have the time of day
Yeah.
to see us. It even trickled into more than that, guys. It was like all of the black alumna from that school, and it did not matter what your year was. They came in full force. They made a Facebook group. We were in that group, and this is where it gets sore for me. So we're in the
Yeah.
group. We're all talking about our experiences at this PWI and how things like this are not just isolated incidents. This is like a trickle effect, depending on what's going on, whatever the social climate was, all of that good stuff. So myself, Jessica, and Caitlin, I guess we were the young people at the forefront.
We were more the younger ones, yeah.
We were very vocal. We were on our Facebook pages. We even went on, it was another podcast or it was a radio show. We went on 2.
It was at Lil Dizzy's, Petey Paul, and
the other one was at Lil Dizzy's.
what is his name?
I see his face.
Yeah, I see his face too.
You got glasses.
Yeah.
I've seen you recently. I forget your name.
It's gonna come back, but
Just
yeah.
Put it somewhere in the comments or the caption later on. But we went on that. A lot of people got wind of it, and when it was time to draft, I guess, the formal letter to submit to the school to say, hey, these are our grievances. We need these particular faculty members, either reprimanded or, quite frankly, get rid of them. They're not conducive to anything. A few of them come up, and the reason why, because I forgot this part, after the photo came out, and everybody was talking about it, underclassmen, they had to be like 8th grade, 9th grade. They were black, and white upperclassmen called them the N-word. So naturally you go to your administrative person, and I think it was Miss Salvaggio at the time, and they told her what happened, and this is their account. I wasn't there. I'm just going by what these kids told us. That instead of trying to thoroughly investigate who said what or who did this, because this is supposed to be not what a Dominican night is supposed to be, that's not sisterly, that's not anything, she was like, this is a sad day at Dominican.
Yeah.
And just summed it up at that. And I was like,
she
what?
does that. Oh my goodness.
I was like, what? So that's what also riled us up to create this group. So when it came down to formulating the letter, we were all supposed to have input. The older alumni were spearheading it. And there was one particular meeting I didn't get to go to because I was at work, to where, we've had words in the group chat because sometimes you don't see eye to eye with a lot of stuff. And they ganged up on Caitlin from what I was told from that meeting. If I was at that meeting too, they probably would have came for me, and it would have been way worse.
Yeah, I think I was there at that meeting.
Yeah,
and
it would have been way worse because, like I said, we did exchange words with the older set, because at that point, the reason why we had the exchange of words is because we're trying to enact real change, and what you're trying to do is compromise and kind of sort of placate. I wouldn't go so far as to say the oppressor, but,
Well, another part of that I thought about, and I think we also kind of figured out, was that a lot of them had children there still.
Yeah, one of them did.
And didn't want their kids to be kicked out.
Exactly, because it was going to come.
So they had to play it safer,
exactly.
Which is why I feel in the end, Dominican ended up siding or at least listening to them more than they listen to us, because we have nothing to lose. They do.
Not just that, we were like, rah, we coming.
We were the Malcolms. We weren't the Martins.
Yeah, we were definitely not Martins. I was like, look, y'all gonna have to get me, because I'm not stopping. I was so livid. I was like, look, this gotta give. Yeah. And the only reason why I got so mad is, no, I wasn't directly called the N-word ever at school. But when Obama got elected, I will never forget this to this day, because that was when my rose-colored glasses got slapped off my face. And what I mean by that is, when you go to PWIs, growing up, they always present this whole like, oh, this is a family. Everybody loves each other. We're all friends. And then Obama gets elected. I'm a sophomore at this point. So at Dominican, they all have different sweaters. They have the black sweaters for the underclassmen. When you become a junior, you get a red sweater. And when you become a senior, you get a navy. So you had people showing their political affiliations based on, well, upperclassmen, because we couldn't do it, based on their political parties. So if you were red, Republican, you could be a senior, but you're wearing that junior sweater. If you're a senior, because obviously juniors don't have them, the seniors had their navy sweaters.
Well, no, seniors would have had their junior sweaters already. They would have had their red sweaters.
That's what I'm saying.
So, yeah.
So if they were a senior, but they were Republican, they wore their red sweater.
Oh, I see what you mean.
If they were Democrat, then they just, stayed to uniform. And if they were neutral, they wore black.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had people in our class that we, quite frankly, I felt like I was friends with.
Mm-hmm.
But you going on this is how old this is. I didn't have Facebook at the time. I had MySpace though.
Mm-hmm.
They had some of them on MySpace. I will never forget. This girl broke. Your ass was broke. I ain't gonna say your name, but you was broke. Talking about Obama is gonna be the N-word house, not the White House anymore, and you're coming from my parents' taxes, bitch. Your parents do the same shit that I do. Like, and what my mom did, my mom was a teacher. Like, your parents weren't making so damn much to where that would affect you. And I hate when people talk about taxes anyway, because this is why I feel
Who was
like
paying taxes? Like none of us in high school were paying taxes
no,
yet.
and even your parents, it's kind of like when people talk
I
about
mean,
taxes,
we were. Some of us probably were. If we were 16, we could work.
Oh yeah, if she was
But
working, it was taken
still,
from a check.
still.
But this is why I say people really need to get a handle on education and why college should be free for you to electively choose to go. Because I don't know about you, but when I went to college and you had your tuition, they literally showed you a breakdown of where all of your tuition money was going.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what type of college you went to, so I went to UL. So they're trying to get their sports, at the time, trying to get their sports up. So a lot of the tuition went to sports. Then $1 went to the library. I was like, why the hell $1 only going to the library? But, you know, when you're trying to get that sportsman money, you put your money where you want it to go. So I'm using that as an example because that is the same thing with taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally, it's public knowledge, people. You can go online, go to whatever your government forum is, whether it's just the city breakdown, state breakdown, government as a whole. You can literally see an itemized list of where all your money is going. And quite frankly, a lot of it is just change that you would pick up off the damn ground.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about people trying to take your money? Girl, bye. You ain't even gonna see that. But I digress. So that's what I mean by, you know, why we got so riled up when that situation happened, because we had just went through that as sophomores. And it's like, now it's like deja vu. This stuff keeps happening. It can't keep happening. But like you said, the older alumna had kids there. They have a stake. You done paid thousands of dollars. You don't want it to just go down the tubes because some young upstarts are causing a ruckus and now they're singling out your kid. So let me compromise with these people real quick.
Yeah. And I'm not really sure if anything ever came of that. I'm not sure because, I mean, that wasn't something that was communicated to me. You probably neither, Caitlin.
No, one of them got a position, remember? I think she's still there.
Of like an actual position within the school?
Mm-hmm.
Like as what?
I forget what she was. It was like some type of position they created, and one of them got appointed to it. And remember, we knew she got appointed because I think it was after that. I don't remember exactly how long. Something else came about, and the younger kids, remember, they started kind of getting into, well, we got to say something. And we specifically said, this particular person, they're going to have you talk to her. Do not trust her. Because she was at the school. I think she might still be there.
I'm so happy that we kind of communicated that because I feel like that needed to be said, even though it has nothing to do with being 100 episodes. But I also think that it is a precursor to why the podcast exists, first and foremost. Because if you think about even just what I experienced with the World War II Museum, it was kind of deja vu as well. It's in the same context. And now that I'm a business owner, knowing that Dominican is a privately owned school, and just knowing how it works on the administrative side to an extent, I can not necessarily empathize with them. I don't empathize with them at all, but I think because I have more knowledge about like how it all works and why you know, businesses exist the way they do and how they can be not necessarily malicious, or like how they are able to trickle truth information so that they stay on the right side of the government's uh that's not the best way. Just how do I put this? How do I put this? I think I just understand more about business structure. Not unfortunately. I think I need to know this. I think I need to know this so that when people like when I see like something bad happening, injustice is happening and whatnot, like I can call it out easier, and I'm more able to like just understand like where their headspace is, just because I'm experiencing it for myself right now as a business owner. Yeah, that World War II museum. I'm not even about to go into all that again, y'all. There's episodes about that. Um, that kind of shook me throughout the 100 episodes. What else has shook me? I think there were some like friendships and relationships that I had during that time period that are no longer there. Not necessarily due to the podcast, but just due to having differences in different opinions that are related to what we were just talking about. Just having everyone has nuanced opinions on racial themes within the American context, I would even say, because not that they don't exist elsewhere, but like here it's just very prevalent because this country was built off of that. Like that's why this country exists, and that's like black people kind of built this country, and white folks obviously like benefited from it the most. But most people aren't going to realize that, and I know it's because we have a lot of people here that are not like we say like we're black, we are black people. We still only about maybe 13-20% in general. We live in a predominantly black city, so it feels as though there's more black people than there actually are. But when you go elsewhere, you go anywhere else outside of this city, outside of this, anywhere that is not urban, anywhere that is not like any other rural places, all like it's flooded with white folks. And I realize that, and I sometimes forget that, and a lot of people don't have, because of that, there's a lot of people that have not kind of experienced racism or prejudice from a perspective that relates to systemic racism within America. Anyway, wow, that was a lot. I'll talk about like what I want for the next couple episodes, like next 100 episodes. Okay.
Finally.
Oh, look, she made it. All right. Well, Aria's here, y'all. She always makes her appearance at least once every episode. And I think this is a great time to quickly just kind of talk about where I think I want this podcast to go in the next couple of episode seasons. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to structure it just yet. As y'all know, this is like a self-produced podcast, mostly by myself. I sometimes have help. Sometimes I have people that can come in and edit. Sometimes I have people come in and just help me, structure the podcast. But most of the time it's just me, and when I have the time out of my extremely busy schedule. But what I'm hoping for the next season of this podcast, because I am getting older, because all of us millennials are now grown adults, growner adults, I want to focus our communications, our conversations on themes that we are currently experiencing. I know for myself, I am 33 years old, and I am now in a place where I remember back in 2020, not that I really, like, I didn't want kids at the point, but I wasn't really thinking about them. Now I'm like, ooh, maybe I should hurry up and get another one. But, like, also I think about how much I don't have the money for one, and that I have the choice if I want one right now. So, like, I'm kind of battling that, and I want to kind of, we talked about the biological clock on the podcast before, but I feel like now that I am in the thick of it, I'm like at the age where majority of women are like, ooh, what do I do? I want to just kind of do some more remarks on that. And now, Free got a whole child now, and I feel like Free did not have a whole child 5 years ago. So, so I think it's gonna be an interesting. We'll probably talk about that in the next episode a little bit too. Actually, we definitely will, because we're talking about sex. So, duh. That'll be in the next episode. And I do want to also kind of I want to start giving some like advice to people that are in their 20s, people that are just trying to find their way. This is a podcast about self-awareness, and I do think that one thing I would love to do, and I'm going to start with you, Free, for this episode, is I will ask you this question. I'll ask it to you right before we end. And we're about to be ending just a moment, but let me get through this and then I will ask you this. I want to make sure that these next couple of episodes are intentional. I want it to also feel sustainable for myself because I don't know necessarily if I am going to continue to put out these episodes very often at the moment. I want to, but my life right now has me in 10 billion different locations, and I want to still be able to focus on the things that I take priority in my life, which is mainly my health, um, mainly, my family and friends. I want to make sure I have time for them. I also want to make sure that I have time for the things that nourish me, like my music that I have been neglecting for feels like years now because I just don't have the time. And focusing on Triple Threat Media, which is just a branch of the music that I'm already making, kind of like I want it to be, but I'm not there just yet. So with all that in mind, it's like also hosting a podcast. That's a lot. That's a lot right there. Like, look at all those balls I'm trying to juggle. It's impossible. I don't think even a juggler can juggle all those balls. So why can I? How can I? So that's what I want. And I want it to be structured. I need structure. So if you see this or hear this wherever you are, if you are interested in helping me do that, um, there's a place for you here, and we can collaborate and work together. As most of you already know, y'all have seen the stuff that's on my podcast page. Y'all seen what's on the Instagrams and our Patreon and everything. You see what I'm capable of. You've seen the stuff I do with Triple Threat Media. I have a lot of capabilities. I am very talented, I find, when it comes to just being a creative and like even just getting a vision out there. And one thing that I really do pride myself in is that I will never not do something because I'm scared to do it. I will try it. Even if it's just once, I'm going to try it. And even if I fail at it, it is what it is. I won't feel bad because at least I tried. So with all of that, I just want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. Before we leave, this is something I'm going to start doing with all my guests because I really do enjoy asking this question. I even ask it to myself. So, Free, we are both in our Jesus year, right? 33.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could tell yourself, your 23-year-old self, give your 23-year-old self advice for your upcoming 10 years, what would it be?
Go outside. What I mean by that, man, please see things outside of just your general scope. There's more to life than where you live. There's more to life than just the friend group that you've made. Hell, there's more outside of your life than the family that you have. Like, go learn something, because that's why we're in the predicament that we're in right now. Is that a lot of people just want to remain in their bubble, burst it. Go eat that food that you said looked nasty. It's probably good. Go to this place that you don't even know how to pronounce it. Go. Like, don't let people hold you back. And what I mean by people holding you back, it's not necessarily the people in your life holding you back. Sometimes it's you creating the excuse that these people are holding me back. And in actuality, it's you. You're scared to travel by yourself. You're scared to go eat in this restaurant alone. You're scared to go see this movie. Go do stuff for yourself, please. As for 23-year-old me, I always wanted to be outside, but I wanted people to be outside with. And because of that, I feel like I've missed out on a lot. What else would I tell 23-year-old me? And this is just an insider for me and my cousin. Lady and the Tramp, don't do that. Okay?
Okay.
Like, leave the spaghetti on the plate, on the fork. That was from episode 1, when we had the sex conversation, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Lady and the Tramp, spice it up."
Oh yes.
To this day, 5 years later, my cousin still cracks that joke.
Oh my gosh,
It's an insider between the two of us, and that's one of the beautiful things I take away from this podcast. What else I would say to a 23-year-old me? Be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Stop code switching early. Yeah, that was one of the things I've recently done in the past, which I was about to be 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Stop code switching at work. Been the best thing ever. Ooh,
That's
it's
hard.
liberating.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And just, I guess, the friends that you do have, value them. Value your friends. And learn how to communicate. That's the advice I would give 23-year-old me.
Okay. I hope that y'all join us for the next episode, which will be chatting about sex as a millennial in 2025. All right, y'all. Bye. Thank you.